Hello guys and welcome to TVM Academy. This is RC number 45 of our free practice course VRC 100. Let's begin. So in the first paragraph, author tells us that a large percentage of Americans can be classified as obese, and though they cannot recover fully from the condition, future generations can be saved. Okay. In the second paragraph, he tells us that though adipose tissue was once a necessary evolution to store energy, we do not need it as much today because we have predictable food supplies and lazy lifestyles. In the third paragraph, he tells us that though there are various diet plans available on the market, the cure rate from obesity is low. In the next paragraph, he explains the mechanism, the body mechanism, which makes losing weight difficult in the long run. So as our body loses weight, it reacts to it, and losing more weight basically becomes more difficult. Okay. And in the last paragraph, he proposes a plan of action, and he says the best efforts to prevent obesity should perhaps be targeted at children so that they don't develop bad eating habits. So basically a problem has been identified and the solution has been proposed in the end. Author maintains that obese people probably cannot recover fully. It is difficult for them to recover from obesity, but if you really want to curb this disease, then targeted effort, concerted effort should be, targeted at children so that we can prevent them from becoming obese adults. That's what his plan of action is. Okay. To the questions. The primary purpose of the passage is to do what? Option A, to argue that prevention is probably the best defense against obesity in United States. Could be the answer. Last paragraph, conclusion. Okay. Option B, to criticize the food and advertising industries. The primary purpose of the passage is not to criticize anybody, but to suggest a solution to a problem, to propose a plan of action to a problem, right? Not to criticize. Okay. Option C, explaining the reasons behind obesity is the primary purpose and the various ways in which one can lose pounds. Quite the opposite. Author says one cannot lose pounds easily. One cannot lose pounds easily. You can only prevent the disease. You cannot, there's no cure. People find it difficult to lose pounds once they gain them. Okay. So this is opposite to what the passage says. The primary purpose is to discourage dependency on fad diets. Well, this was never the primary focus of the passage. The focus is the problem and what is the solution to that problem, rather than this fad diets. This is just a narrow point, a very minor point of discussion in the passage. Okay. So goes out. Question 2. By the rule of thumb mentioned in the passage, which of the following would be considered obese? The rule of thumb was simple. If you are 20% above your desirable weight, then you are obese. As simple as that. A 25-pound toddler whose desirable weight is 20 pounds. If his desirable weight is 20 pounds, 20% of 20 pounds is 4. Therefore, the maximum weight he should have is 24, but he has 25. Therefore, yes, he is obese as per the thumb rule. A large framed woman weighing 140 pounds whose desirable weight for her height is between 112 and 120. So this is the range of a desirable weight. So let's start with this 120. This is also within the desirable weight range. 120 is a desirable range. 20% of 120 is 24. 20% of 120 is 24. So if you add 24 to 120, that's 144 pounds. But this woman is 140 pounds. So she is less than 20% overweight. She will not be considered obese by the rule of thumb mentioned. Okay. A 175 pound, now this information is important. A 175 pound man who was 25 pounds over his desirable weight already, and he gained 10 additional pounds, basically 35 pounds. Therefore, he's 35 pounds above the desirable weight. So what is his desirable weight? 175 minus 35, which is 140 is his desirable weight. And he's 35 above his desirable weight. What is 20% of 140? It is 28. but he is 35 pounds more than that. Therefore, yes, he will be considered obese by the rule of thumb. 1 and 3 should be the answer. Simple math, option C. Question 3, which of the following, if true means critical reasoning question, if true, best explains why a greater percentage of women are obese than men in the United States? Okay. Option A, so we have to find best explanation for this observation. Option A, the measure is the same for both men and women, but it is normal for women to carry a greater percentage of fat at any weight. So what? Their overall weight should be 20% more than the desirable weight. The percentage of fat in their body weight does not mention. It is not even a variable in the equation. So this is clearly out. What percentage of fat? To explain it further, if a man weighs 100 and the weight of fat in 100 pounds is 20 pounds, option A says a woman weighing 100 pounds will have 30 pounds weight of fat. So how does that matter? How does that explain why women are more overweight than men? Greater percentage of women are overweight than men. It does not. It only talks about the fat percentage in the body, does not talk about the overall weight or the rule of thumb, 20% overweight rule. Okay. Option B, the average man is heavier than the average woman. So let average man's weight be 100 pounds, average woman's be 50 pounds. Therefore, men generally need to gain more weight than women do before they are considered obese. Okay, makes sense. Men are usually heavier than women, which means if a man is 100 pounds, 20% of 100 pounds is 20. So he has to gain 21% to be called obese, while a woman only has to gain 11 pounds to be called obese. That is what option B says. Now that could explain why a greater percentage of women are considered obese. So option B is a good choice. However, there's only one problem. We are assuming here that gaining 11 pounds for a 50-pound person is easier than gaining 21 pounds for a 100-pound person. Gaining 11 pounds for a 50-pound person is easier than gaining 21 pounds for a 100-pound person. We are assuming this. So there is some amount of assumption involved in option B, but it could be the answer. Let's look for a better choice, or otherwise we'll come back to B. There are more women in the United States than there are men. So what? Their number is more. But the question is why a greater percentage of them are obese. Greater percentage, not a greater number. Okay. So even if there are more women, a greater percentage of them. So 80% of women are obese, while only 60% men are, for example. So that is what the question is. Option C does not answer. Women burn off fewer calories than men do. Okay, makes sense. Because their bodies contain a lower percentage of muscle and muscle burns calories. Okay, so there is some reason because of which women burn less calories, fewer calories than men do. It is direct explanation of why greater percentage of women are considered obese. Option D should be the correct answer. So it's better than B. We are not going with one which involved assumption. D directly explains the situation. All of the following statements about protein are supported by the passage except one. Okay, so 3 statements are supported by the passage about protein. Gram for gram, foods that are high in protein are lower in calories than foods that are high in fat. So basically, protein-rich foods have low calories than fat-rich foods have. Clearly mentioned here. Fat gives you 9 calories per gram. Protein gives you 4 calories. So yes, protein-rich foods are lower in calories. This is correct. Therefore, not the answer. Question says except. Okay. Option B, foods devoid of protein are devoid of nitrogen. So if I'm eating a food, let's say orange, if it does not have protein, it does not have nitrogen. Okay. Is it mentioned in the passage? Well, there is a similar sentence mentioned. The sentence says, protein is the only source of nitrogen in the body. But there's a twist here. It is the only source of nitrogen in the body and not for the body. So it is possible that inside the body, a protein binds nitrogen. It is not necessary that the food which has a protein will have nitrogen. It's not necessary. It could also mean that inside the body, even if I'm taking nitrogen from the atmosphere, it is protein which binds it. Therefore, protein is the only source of nitrogen in the body. That's how. Or protein is producing, it's decomposing into nitrogen. It is producing nitrogen for the body. It is also possible. But we don't know. So there's ambiguity here. There are two ways to look at it. There are two ways. Nitrogen could be the protein could be the binding factor for nitrogen, or it could be the source of nitrogen also for the body. So we don't know. So option B may be correct, may not be correct. Let's look for another option. If we find a better option, we'll go with it. Otherwise, we'll come back to B. Let's keep it for the while. Option C, 9 grams of protein yield same number of calories as 4 grams of fat. Correct. Easy mathematical calculation. 9 grams of protein, one protein is 4 grams, 9 4 36. And 1 gram of fat gives you 9 grams of calories. Therefore, 4 into 9 also 36. It's clearly out. Option C is mentioned, therefore out. Option D, protein is not converted into adipose tissue. Well, we don't see anything like this mentioned in the passage anywhere. It is mentioned that adipose tissue is a triumph of evolution. It stores energy. It stores excess energy. As a matter of fact, fat is much more efficient for storing excess energy than is protein. So we don't know whether protein is converted into adipose tissue or not. Data insufficiency. Correct answer option D. Therefore, passage does not support this assertion anywhere. Option B is still there, though ambiguous, still there. Okay. Last question, question number 5. Which of the following, if it could be demonstrated, would most strengthen the claim? So see our question, that the feeding habits of children can determine the adolescent and adult eating habits those children will develop. Okay. So we have to strengthen this claim. Claim has been mentioned in the last paragraph. We need evidence which proves that your childhood feeding patterns determine your eating habits in adolescence and adulthood also. Okay. Option A, the incidence of obesity in children whose parents are both obese is 80%. But we don't know whether these obese parents also fed their kids with food that could make the kids obese. Whether their feeding patterns were also inclined towards obesity. We don't know that. Therefore, option A is out. It does not strengthen the claim. It only talks about genetics, basically. If your parents are obese, you're likely to be obese. That's only genetics. But we are talking about behavior. So childhood eating habits develop into adulthood eating habits. It's behavioral aspect that we're looking at. Option B, 36% of infants who are obese during their first half year of life are also overweight between ages 20 and 36. Okay, tempting choice could be the correct answer, but first thing, the claim that we have to strengthen is that the feeding patterns of childhood determine the feeding patterns or eating habits of adolescence and adulthood. Now, the age group, the age bracket of 20 and 36 does not talk about adolescence at all. And it does not even talk about the entire adulthood. It's a very specific age bracket. So option B maybe strengthens the claim a little bit, but it does not strengthen it wholeheartedly or completely. Okay. So let's look for a better answer choice. Also, there are only 36%, not even majority. Only 36% of fat kids become fat adults. And that too only within the ages 20 and 30, between 20 and 36. Maybe before that and after that, they're okay. They're not overweight. So this does not really strengthen the claim. It's a weak answer choice. Excessive weight gain during the teen years can set the stage for a lifetime battle against the bulk. This is the assertion itself. There's no evidence. It lacks evidence. It's only a statement, a hollow statement. There are no statistics involved. So basically, option C rephrases the claim rather than strengthen it. It only rephrases it. Option D, only less than 20% of youngsters who are fat as 5-year-olds do not end up fat as adults. Only less than 20% fat kids do not end up as fat adults, which means greater than 80% fat kids become fat adults. Oh, if this is so, if more than 80% fat kids develop into fat adults, it clearly strengthens the claim that your eating habits of childhood determine your eating habits of adult or adolescence also. I hope you enjoyed this passage. Easy to moderate level passage. Maybe 1 or 2 questions were moderate, others were easy. The CR questions specifically were a little, more than easy. I mean, a little less than easy. I hope you enjoyed the exercise. Keep liking the video. Keep sharing word about TVM Academy, guys. Cheers to learning. Bye-bye.